This conference will now be recorded.
Participants, welcome you all for the third session of today. Again, we have Dr. Taimur Khan sir with us. Today's topic of presentation is RF energy harvester and some applications. Dr. Taimur sir, now you can share your screen. I think 25 participants joined. Let us wait for 5 more minutes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much once again for giving me an opportunity to start my second talk. Let me first share the screen.
Yes.
Okay, is the screen visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, okay. The topic for this second talk is RF energy harvester and some applications, which is going to be delivered in this talk. Coming to the main content, these are the contents of today's presentation. Energy harvesting and different types, RF energy harvesting, Rectenna concept and different applications, different key component of a Rectenna system, that is different antenna configurations, rectifier configurations, impedance matching networks, power combining networks, which are essentially required for designing an RF energy harvester. After that, I'll be going to discuss some design examples or some fabricate, like some design examples basically, covering the different aspects related to RF energy harvesting, followed by some applications part of the topic. Coming to the main theme of that one, nowadays ultimately what we are seeing that our engineering domain is trying to divert themselves towards the non-conventional energy resources. There are several advantages and applications have already been successfully implemented based on that non-conventional energy resources. Or in that one, like we need to utilize the existing resources available to us in the form of different kind of energy like solar energy, wind energy, thermal energy, acoustic energy. Okay, later on, like I'll be going to focus only the last one, that is RF energy or RF energy harvesting. Different techniques for harvesting the radio frequency energy available in our surroundings, because there are several constraints related to, first of all, although last one is also having its own drawback, because in each system has its own advantage as well as drawbacks that we're going to discuss later on in the coming slides. Here in figure one, different sources we can visualize related to different energy harvesting systems. Then coming to that one, RF energy harvesting system, several RF energy sources like Wi-Fi source, then our laptop, then tablet and PC and all other things. These are the different media available to us which are bound to radiate RF energy. Some part of that one is received by the corresponding receiving hand. Suppose you're going to connect the one device to another device through Bluetooth. Then what transmitter part of Bluetooth, one device of that Bluetooth transmits the energy, the same energy will not be received of that receiver part. Part of energy will be received. Remaining part, someone is unmute your. Okay, thank you. That's why, like I was giving you a glimpse of the things where we can utilize the ambient energy available to us in the form of RF form. Like suppose I was talking about one example. Suppose your mobile phone is
Sir, sorry to interrupt you. We are not getting your audio. Taimu sir, participants, sorry for the interruption. Sir will be joining the meeting 2 minutes.
This conference will now be recorded.
Now, like here, different energies, RF energy, different sources of energy which can be utilized for energy harvesting purposes. Like solar energy, the intensity or the power density for that one indoor is 10 microwatt per centimeter, and outdoor is 10 milliwatt per centimeter. And like some vibration kind of energy can also be utilized, but it is having very small amount of power density, that is 4 microwatt per centimeter for human, and for industrial environment that is 100 microwatt per centimeter. Then thermal energy, as well as coming to the last one, that is RF energy, which is 0.1 microwatt per centimeter and 1 milliwatt per centimeter for GSM and Wi-Fi band of frequencies. Ultimately, if we come to the advantage, then RF energy is available throughout the 24 hours to us, but there are certain limitations to the solar energy, vibration energy, as well as the thermal energy. Then because the topic is basically focused on the RF energy part, then I'm going to take the reference of last one, that is RF energy harvesting and its applications. Then coming to that one, like what is basically the energy harvesting? RF energy harvesting is a process which ultimately is used for capturing the surrounded RF energy and converting it into the electrical DC power. Then ultimately, if we see the main device which is used for RF energy harvesting purpose is the rectangle, which is consist of antenna part, one RF input filter, then matching network, rectifying circuits, and storage devices. These are the essential components which are used for designing an RF energy harvester. Then one by one, I'll be going to discuss the detailed design approach for each one of them. These are some ambient RF sources available to us, that is FM is 88 to 108 megahertz, and digital TV GSM 900, 1800, UMTS 2100, LTE Wi-Fi Max, then ultimately 5G. In 5G, we are having 4 different bands available to us. Then we can use any one of band as per the availability of the source in our surroundings for designing of the RF energy harvester. Here, types of basically energy harvesting, RF energy harvesting, that is basically one is the near field and another one is the far field energy harvesting. Then in near field, that both the transmitter sides, or that the source of RF energy is very near to the receiver side of that energy source. Then because of very short distance within the transmitter side or on the receiver side, we always term this one as a near field RF energy harvesting system. Here in this circuitry, we can see that a pair of like a coiled form of coupling is created between the two sides, transmitter as well as receiver sides, and these two coupled coils are sufficient for transferring the power from driver side towards the load side of that one. Then this is the glimpse of using the near field RF energy harvesting system. Then coming to that second one, that is far field one. In that one, like this is source of that RF energy is very far from the harvester sites, and that's why we call it one is the far field energy harvester. What distance will be near field and what distance will be far field, that is clearly decided by the concept of near field regions and far field regions and intermediate regions of antenna radiations. Then we currently used at the time of antenna designing, or when we study the antennas theory, then these terms usually come to our way, that defining the near field region, far field, as well as intermediate field regions. Now coming to that first rectanna part, it was invented in 1964, and later on in 1969, the work was patented by US electrical engineer William C. Brown, who has demonstrated it to power a helicopter at a frequency of 2.45 gigahertz. Here you can see the different angles and the photograph taken at different angles for that one. This is basically a pair of this is that antenna part. It is mounted on the surface of that helicopter, and somewhere in the other side there will be a receiver side, that which is giving to the energy to that one. Now coming to that in starting part of that historical background kind of things of that rectanna. It was designed firstly in 1969, and later on based on that solar power, another rectanna was designed in 1974 by the same author, that is Brown, William C. Brown. And then in 1974, half-wave rectifier topologies was designed by the same authors and group, that is W.C. Brown et al. And later on 1979, practically designed ground station for transmitting purpose was designed. Then that one solar power satellite solar power stations was also used for that purpose in 1980s. Then later on, day by day, it was continuously increasing, and nowadays in 21st, like after around 20 years or 30 years of that one, like 1992 onward, if we see, or 1969 onward, around 60 years after that invention, now it has become a very hot topic in the communication engineering. Peoples around the world have started already working in that emerging area of RF energy harvesting, just to make the low power electronic systems self-sustainable. These are the different things related to defining the performance characteristic of an antenna, like that ultimately what amount of power will be absorbed by an antenna, it is decided by the aperture of that antenna. Okay, and another things means another important parameter is the high gain. Then ultimately sometimes we encountered with a single frequency available in the atmosphere, sometimes with the multiple frequency. That's why designing of multi-band antennas is equally important. Designing of high-gain antenna is also important. Antenna with large aperture is also important. Then coming to the power conversion efficiency of the rectifier, which can be increased by increasing the input power from the antenna, or by creating the proper impedance matching between the antenna and the receiver side at the rectifier side, because ultimately the power received by that antenna antenna is inherently very small in magnitude, and if it is not perfectly matched with the rectifier circuit, then ultimately you will not be able to convert it efficiently into the required DC power. That's why impedance matching is also equally important between the antenna part as well as the rectifier part. Now coming to that, these are the design challenges that ultimately increasing the harvesting power with compact antenna, because ultimately what is mentioned here, that absorbing power is increased by increasing the larger aperture of an antenna. As the aperture size of that antenna will be increased, and the power received by that antenna will also be increased. But ultimately it will increase the size of entire size of the rectangular part. Then ultimately it is a challenge. The first challenge is to design an energy harvester with compact antenna. Size of that antenna should be as compact as possible, and the performance of that designed antenna should be as high as possible. Then another one is increasing the output power with an antenna operating at a single band frequency. Design an antenna with high gain is again another challenge. Design an antenna which is operating at multiple frequencies. Then, like one thing that we can, if we make a like deep study of that rectangular part, then it is very easy to design a multi-band antenna. But when we comes to design a part, designing of the rectifier part, then there are several challenges will come into the picture when we are going to design an rectifier with multi-band frequencies, or rectifier with a quite wide band of frequencies. That's why these are the different challenges ultimately which we usually face at the time of designing a practical rectangular for RF energy harvesting system. Then coming to the advantages of that one rectangular, and then ultimately drawbacks, then some applications. Advantages like it is freely available energy which we are going to harvest. Then ultimately what is going to happen, it will increase the battery lifetime, and people also thinking to replace that one. There will be no concept in near future to charge the, especially to charge that one battery of small power electronic devices like a smart watch or something like that. Ultimately each and every, like the power requirement of that smart watch will be managed by the surrounding energy harvest, surrounding environment, in the form of RF energy harvesting. And several other gadgets we can also think about where we can use this rectangular concept for replacing the battery of that one, or for charging the battery for that one. Then ultimately what main problem is there, that the free space path loss is high, low power density, and it may require a dedicated source as ambient energy level is very low. That's why these are the drawbacks. Then ultimately last one can be overcome with the help of designing the circularly polarized antenna. But ultimately it is also a it is also a drawback. And ultimately we need to think about before designing a practical rectangular system. Then several applications of rectangular systems: wireless energy harvesting, solar power, then ultimately wireless power transmission, wireless sensor, then implantable devices. In general, we'll be going to focus only the first one, that is wireless energy harvesting system, that one. Now coming to that key component, like this is the block diagram of a rectangular system which is having one antenna part, then RF input filter, then matching network, rectifier circuit, followed by some storage element. Then a storage element, sometimes it may be a battery, or it may be some other alternate of that battery, like that one capacitor, in the form of capacitor. Then ultimately these are the things that we need to take while designing a practical rectangular system. Now coming to one by one, that based on the different topologies, I have segregated the entire literature available on rectangular component, that is on the antenna part, that is single band antenna, multi-band antenna, and broadband antenna. On the rectifier sides, that half wave rectifier, full wave bridge rectifier, voltage doubler rectifier, Grenier rectifier, then enhanced Grenier, then Cockcroft Walton voltage multiplier. These are the different topologies designed for different applications of rectifying purpose. And a single antenna, that apart from that, we can think about to design a compact form of entire circuitry of rectangle. Now coming to the different components of antenna part, that is ultimately different antenna configuration, rectifier configuration, and impedance matching configuration. One by one, I'll be going to discuss that one. According to the characteristic of an antenna, we can classify antenna as a circularly polarized, high gain antenna, then miniaturized antenna, or omnidirectional antenna. Then based on the operating frequency, it may be either single band operated, broadband, dual band, or multi-band operated antenna. Then the different lectures are available based on different is used for designing the circular polarized antenna. We have used the termination dual feeding as well as coplanar waveguide backfeed, truncated corners, unbalanced circular, then peripheral curves, slotted approaches. These are the some literatures which I am going to highlight here, which have been designed, which have been used for designing the circularly polarized antenna for RF energy harvesting system. Here you can see the summary in the form of table, that termination gap based on that available literature. That is that is okay. Then ultimately, according to the acceleration bandwidth, we can think about for opting the appropriate techniques as per our requirement. Then ultimately, if we see the entire literature, then truncated corners is the most popular techniques for creating the circular polarization of the net antenna. Coming to that second class of that antenna, high gain antenna configurations, these different techniques have been utilized for enhancing the gain of an antenna for RF energy harvesting application, that is reflecting surface, stacked configuration, differential feeding, array kind of things, then air gap with aperture and perfect electric conductor walls. These are different techniques which have been used for designing the different structures for high gain antenna for RF energy harvesting applications. Then again, that one, that is some tabular form of that things, same things what I compared in the previous one. That is in the another way, that maximum gain which has been utilized, which has been mentioned here, that is 14.29 in the differential feed antenna array. But ultimately, if we go to the array side, then the size, physical size of that systems for that antenna size, antenna system will be very large as compared to the single element array. Then in single element array, the different techniques have been utilized for enhancing the gain of an antenna. That we can think about which one is to be opted, and some new novel techniques can also be incorporated based on that one our own designs. Then what type of things, what type of techniques we can utilize for enhancing the gain of an antenna. Coming to that miniaturization, then ultimately, apart from gain, dual band, multi-band, or bandwidth kind of things, then another important things of that, the size of that one is size of that overall antenna should be as small as possible. But if we continuously reduce the size, then ultimately what will happen? One thing means by reducing the physical size of that antenna, then the resonance will also be shifted in the upper side. Then ultimately, that is our requirement is to design a miniaturized antenna at low frequency, suppose 2.45 gigahertz. Then suppose by taking some standard equations of a microstrip antenna, if you start designing of that one, then the size, the length and width of that antenna can be calculated with using very well known formulations available in several textbooks as well as some fundamental papers. Then if we think about to use those equations for calculating the resonant frequency, then ultimately it is inversely proportional to the length of that one. Then if the size of that antenna is reduced, then ultimately the resonant frequency starts shifting towards the higher side. Then higher side shifting may be required, or it may not be required. That is another thing. But ultimately, miniaturization for that existing size, within that existing size or a small size, overall small size, then different techniques have been used for creating the miniaturization. Then same in the form of tabular form, that you can think about that one smallest size available in this table, that is this one, PIFA mending strip, that is 10 by 10 by 2.54, 254 254 millimeter cube ultimately. Then but ultimately you just see miniaturization is achieved, but ultimately you just see the gain of that same design is very poor. It is very small as compared to other one. If you are going to enhance again, suppose you take the example of this last one, then ultimately again the size has been increased. That is 254 to 1669 or 1670. That size has been increased. And the same thing we can apply that ultimately there is a trade-off between that as per the requirement of applications, how much miniaturization we can create and with how much degradation in the performance parameters. That is the things that we need to consider at the time of designing of RF energy harvester or especially antenna component of that RF energy harvester. Then ultimately coming to that one, different techniques for achieving the multiband characteristics. Then these are the different techniques which we have used successfully utilized by different researchers for creating the multiband characteristic for antenna of RF energy harvesting applications. Now coming to that, ultimately if we see this one, then broadband configurations, then ultimately these are the different techniques which have been utilized in the literature for creating the broadband characteristics of an antenna, that is 2 to 2.7 gigahertz, then maximum gain is 10 dBi, then 0.85 to 1.94, then ultimately we can think about as per our requirement, but what will be our requirement, then accordingly we can select or we can design the broadband characteristic in an antenna. Now coming to that rectifier configuration, apart from the one different configurations related to single band, single element antenna as well as an array kind of things, then single band, dual band, multi-band, broadband kind of configuration, then miniaturized, different kind of miniaturization techniques. Then after that we have come to the second important component, that is the rectifier configuration. Rectifier ultimately it is used for converting the absorbed AC power by that antenna into the DC power. That is the main characteristic. The same things we can think about when we study the rectifier at the low frequency, especially in the basic electronic circuits or like that similar kind of subjects. But ultimately, what main problem with the traditional way of rectifiers is that is the cut-in voltage, 0.3 volt and 0.7 volt for germanium and silicon. But ultimately, in case of that applications, low power applications, we cannot use this type of configuration, this type of traditional configuration related to germanium and silicon. Then specific devices, specific rectifiers have all or day by day are coming into the market, which are claiming that the performance of that one rectifier is achieved up to that level within this much amount of low input power. But ultimately, hardly 50-60% of efficiency we can achieve at the reasonable amount of RF energy available in the atmosphere. But if we increase the power level, input power level, if we are having a dedicated source of power, then ultimately we can achieve some higher values of higher percentage of that conversion efficiency, power conversion efficiency. Then according to that one, like nowadays that Schottky configurations are very much popular, are very much used for designing the RF rectifier. Basically there are several advantages which I'm going to highlight in next slides, but ultimately before that we need to think about the configurations used for RF rectifiers using Schottky diode. Then half wave rectifier, then full wave rectifier with maybe bridge rectifier or voltage doubler rectifier, then green nature configuration of rectifier. Now coming to that one Schottky diode, then these are the several advantages of Schottky diodes which are useful, which are used because of this unique characteristics. Then Schottky diodes are popularly used at the RF energy harvester, specifically for designing the rectifier circuits at high frequency RF energy harvesting application. Reverse recovery time is less, than conversion efficiency is high, low forward voltage drop, fast switching, high power application, and so on. Then coming to that one, what are the limitations? And ultimately, Then ultimately at micro frequencies is the most prominent rectifier. Schottky diode is the most prominent choice as the rectifier, but as the frequency becomes beyond microwave range, then ultimately that Schottky kind of devices, Schottky kind of active devices are not used in that one. Different techniques have been like day by day have been implemented for overcoming the problems associated to that Schottky diode in terms of CMOS, BJT, and GFPT. That is that one. The different configurations for that one, half-wave configuration, full-wave bridge rectifier configuration, voltage doubler circuitry, then Greenacher configuration of rectifier. Then these are the popular configuration or popular topologies used for converting the AC power of received AC power received by that antenna to convert it into the DC power, which is required for that electronic circuitry. Then same thing what I have already discussed in data. Coming to that rectifier topologies, that is ultimately full wave. Then finally, if we see this one, maximum RF to DC conversion efficiencies, then half-wave configurations, if we see that the maximum conversion efficiency less than 50% and more than 50%, then this is the limited amount of literature available to us in the form of rectifier topologies, which I classified in the form of low power applications as well as for high power applications. Now coming to that one, like impedance matching network, again an important parameter that I already highlighted, that because if it is not perfectly matched with the impedance matching with the impedance of that antenna, then ultimately the maximum power from that antenna part will not be transferred to the rectifier sides, and ultimately if it is not again matched with the load side, then the converted power DC power, which is inherently will be small, then ultimately if it is not perfectly matched, then the power will not be, maximum power will not be transferred from the rectifier towards that one, that is load or maybe energy storage element or something like that. Power management unit also sometimes we use that one. Then coming to that one, comparison of matching network, different impedance matching networks. Then finally L sections and pi sections. For single band frequencies, these L sections as well as pi sections are utilized. Dual band impedance matching with series and parallel combinations of LC pair. Then for dual band as well as multi-section dual band is also used for that one, dual band applications. Stacking is also like sections kind of thing, so we need to create the sections of that one in the form of stacking. Then ultimately this type of topologies are also popular up to like six band topologies for like stacking form of impedance matching have been successfully developed in the literature. Now coming to that next one, that is power combining techniques. Then there are the two way for combining the power. First one is the first we convert first we convert that one ultimately the RF power into that RF power is transferred to that antenna part. Ultimately antenna will convert that RF receive that RF power, and the AC power is combined here, RF combining circuitry. Then after that rectifier unit will be used at the output side of power RF combiner circuit. Then ultimately this is the one way for designing the for creating the power combining circuitry, that is RF power combining. And then like another way is the DC power combining. Individually the input captured power by that antenna is first rectified by individual rectifier. That individual rectifier may be either half wave rectifier, full wave, or some other configuration, Greenwich rectifier, voltage doubler, tripler, or like that type of configuration, depending upon the other parameters on which that particular antenna is to be designed. And these are the two way for combining the techniques. Then coming to that one, which one will be suitable for which application, then RF power combining technique It's basically suitable when RF power individual is very small, because ultimately in the first case, that the essential requirement for RF power combining is that if the individual antenna power is very small, then first we combine that RF received power and make that combined power up to a certain level. Then after that we pass it to the rectifier for converting it into the DC level. Then if it is vice versa, then ultimately we try to opt that one DC power combining topologies for converting for that one. Then coming to that next one, that is after that basic overview, then ultimately I'm coming to that some design examples which I'm going to focus on that one, because after making that one overall background, although several other speakers have already discussed the maximum things of that one, but ultimately it was essentially required for creating the things in the form of that presentation, because the topic only that was I have already discussed with Professor Purnima Sharma, it was very narrow, but limited, like several speakers have to speak only on that uh, on that one topics relevant related to the theme of that FDP. That I have taken that some theoretical part first and coming to that some design examples, that one. Then coming to that first one, single band pentagonal patch antenna, that this one that we can see here, that this is the radiator shapes which is designed in the form of pentagon, and the back side of that one, that is the ground plane of that one. That this overall geometry is designed in the form by using the FR4 substrate, but ultimately because of that lossy behavior, the performance of that one will not be up to that mark. But initially we can think about for designing the antenna part, or especially the antenna part, using FR4 substrate, because it is very cheap as compared to other arterial materials. Then in coming to that one analysis part of that one, that slot length variations, ls means the like this one, by varying the slot lengths ls as well as ws, and how the performance is changing here, that we can visualize and we can think about which one is the optimized value. That is ls is 42 mm is the optimized value, because of that one it is giving me the perfect matching part in the form of S11 performance. As well as in the gain part, it is also reasonable amount of gain is there, that is 2.45 gigahertz, you can see. Then ultimately we can think about to take this one 42 mm ls for that one as a optimized length. Then coming to the ws, the same thing we can we can visualize that by taking ws 42, and ultimately then matching as well as that gain variations is also we are getting bit improved as compared to the previous one. All other cases, that is ws equal to 38 mm, 40 mm, 45 mm, and 50 mm. Then coming to that LDP means this one, by varying this ultimate dimension, that is pitch edge dimension LDP, then how this performance is changing. Then ultimately our task is to get the perfect matching in the form of S11 as well as the high gain of that high possible gain with that particular design. That is ultimately we can think about that our target frequency was 2.45 gigahertz. Then this is LDP 19.8 ultimately 19.8 mm is the optimized value of that one, of that particular uh, resonant frequency. Then same thing you can visualize here, that by increasing the dimension, then the ultimately the resonance is shifting towards left side. By decreasing the dimension, it will shift towards the right side. Then that was inversely proportional, that I've already discussed in previous slides. Then come to that gain variations, and reasonable amount of gain we are getting by taking this one, and 19.8 mm LDP is 19.8 mm here, that is 2.45 gigahertz. Then ultimately coming to that one that another means substrate permittivity variations. We have done some simulation part for optimizing which one is the best substrate for that particular one. Then ultimately by taking different substrate materials, then 2.2, 3.3, and 4.4, then how the performance is changing ultimately, then that we can think about in the figure 5. That is in case of 4.4, the performance is good as compared to the previous, as compared to the other combination. Now coming to that one, that is final optimized values. That is ultimately we are getting a band of 240 megahertz starting from 2.33 to 2.57 gigahertz. Then again of that one 8.08 dBi gain is achieved at that particular frequency 2.45 gigahertz in that one. Then if we make a comparison of this one with the existing literature, then ultimately you can think about that the gain is achieved at the cost of size of that antenna. You just see 16,000 mm cube is the size of that one, and it is lesser than to some of the existing literature and more than to the existing one. Like the least one in this table is that one 3062.5 mm, that is, but the gain requirement, gain achieved by this design 81 is only for 4 dBi, but here gain is achieved at a cost of large size only. Then ultimately that is the thing that we need to take care at the time of designing what will be the maximum possible size, acceptable maximum possible size. Within that size we need to think about the topology, we need to think about the radiator, we need to think about the feeding structure, and then finally we need to optimize each and every dimensions and to get the best possible performance within that size of that one subset size of that antenna. Now coming to that second design, that is a single band hexagonal shape, because ultimately it is more or less to previous one, but things we have discussed in case of previous one, it is ultimately in the form of 2.45 gigahertz, that is hexagonal shape, nothing more. Same kind of variations we can observe here. We can observe here in the form of that one, that how the performance is changing without notch. Means this is the notch placed in that one in the ground plane, and finally we are getting the performance improvement in the form of impedance matching by placing this notch in the ground plane. Then ultimately that the things we can observe in the form of gain, that a spike is achieved, but ultimately it is not advantageous for that one because of several other constraints of that thing. Because our target frequency is 2.45 gigahertz, then ultimately these are the some optimized dimensions for this particular design. LS equal to 100, then WS is 100 again, then finally some LP variations, that is radiator dimensions variations, and WP variations, and ln means notch length of this one. Suppose this is ln is this one, this variation, and wn variation, how the performance is changing by changing these dimensions in that way that we can visualize by this one. And finally we can find out the optimized values in the form of blue color in all these graphs. Blue color is the optimized values that is plotted here in the form of S11 plot, gain plot for notch length ln as well as for notch width wn, again S11 plot as well as gain plot. Now coming to that one single band hexagonal, like ultimately some other parameters, ground plane length variations, and ultimately how is the performance is changing by changing the length of ground plane. Then epsilon r changing, then ultimately that epsilon r changing performance in the form of gain. That is the thing. Then ultimately this is like bit performance is degraded as compared to previous one, but ultimately that another approach for designing that simple hexagonal patch antenna for the 2.45 gigahertz frequency. Then current variations, current patterns, or current distribution, surface current distribution, we can think we can that is here ultimately. Then coming to the 2D radiation pattern, it is a sort of a diagonal, that one alphabet or the dipole kind of radiation pattern in E plane, as well as more or less similar kind of patterns we are achieving in the S plane of that one. Then ultimately, and that if we make a comparison with that existing literature available under the 2.45 gigahertz and 2.45 gigahertz, that is this one. Okay, then 2.45 gigahertz, the size is this one, and another size is this one. Okay, but ultimately our design is higher than to this size but lower than to that one, but performance is improved as compared to this one. And it is like if we make a comparison with this one, that is that one gain is lesser than to that reference 72 in that the comparison table. And coming to that one triple band hexagonal shape, the same things we have designed in the form of triple band characteristics of this one. Like if we make a like deep analysis of different performance parameters here in the form of S11 parameters, in the form of gain parameters, with and without slot and notch, then ultimately first one is without slot and with notch, that is that one that was not perfectly matched. Ultimately 3 resonance are there, maybe 4 resonance are there ultimately, but ultimately what main problem is that is not perfectly matched. Then we need to create the matching of that one. That's why we have inserted that slot, this one in the ground plane. Then finally, after inserting the slot, then ultimately some performance is improved as compared to that black graph. Then again we have inserted one notch also in the ground plane, this notch. Then finally we are getting we are getting this performance with that one, that it is quad resonance but triple band. Why we are calling it triple band? Because it is belonging to a band, this one, third one. But if you see in terms of resonances, it is having quad resonance, but in terms of band, it is triple band. Then other performance variations that we can see in the form of that one gain variations, that it is more or less in both the cases, that is with slot and notch, ultimately that is gain variations are almost same, but impedance matching is drastically changed when we insert a notch along with the slots in the ground plane. Then ultimately that LP and WP variations, that is radiator patch length, and this one variations that we can think about here in the form of gain as well as S parameters. Then how the performance is changing, that we can see here. Then finally it is optimized at a length of 30 mm. Then finally at 30 mm the gain variations is also at the reasonable amount which is required for that one. Then the performance variation in terms of LN and LN variation. LN means that notch length variations. Then if we see this one in the form of S11, then ultimately performance improvement we can observe at LM equal to 12 mm. In the form of gain also the same, LN equal to 12 mm is the best choice of taking the notch length in the ground, inserted in the ground plane. Then performance, then coming to that another parameter, that is notch width. This thing ultimately that is the thing that we can same kind of conclusions we can create, we can think about in the what we have discussed in the form of LN variations. Then ultimately then L1 variations, this length variations in the ground plane, and W1 variations, this W1 variations here, that we can visualize and optimize which one is the best possible combinations for L1 and W1. Now coming to that radiation patterns as well as optimized geometry, that is that one triple band as well as that triple band, and then one quad resonances we are getting at this frequency. Then ultimately at 3 different frequencies, 1.8 gigahertz, 2.6 gigahertz and 3.5 gigahertz, the radiation patterns in 2D as well as 3D is plotted in that one, that we can think about that the maximum radiations we are getting in this way, and the least amount of things is we are having here, that is this reason basically. Okay, the radiation maximum radiations is in this direction as well as in this direction. Okay, then here as well as here. Then similar dipole kind of dipole kind of patterns we are getting in the E plane as well as in S plane. Making a comparison of this one with that existing literature, then same size variation, then 1.8, 2.6 and 1.8, 2.6 and that one 3.5 gigahertz frequencies, and achieved gain is 6.45 dBi as compared to the previous, as compared to the earlier one. Then ultimately coming to that another configuration, that is dual polarized multiband antenna. Like all three cases what I have discussed in design 1, design 2, design 3, these are belonging to that one antenna. Okay, now we are coming towards the rectangle, complete rectangle unit design. For that one, the design is shown here, that is the dual polarized multiband rectangle. It is basically creating a six that we have designed for six resonances within the C band, and the three resonances are circularly polarized, and the remaining three, that is 4.75 gigahertz, 5.76 gigahertz and 6.4 gigahertz, are linearly polarized. And whereas the 5.42 gigahertz, 6.9 gigahertz and 7.61 gigahertz are circularly polarized. And the maximum conversion efficiency what we have achieved with this design is 84% at 5.76 gigahertz frequency with the 15 dBm input power. Then this design is for the substrate material used for this design is 4.4 gigahertz, 4.4 permittivity, and loss content, that is 0.02, and thickness is 0.8 mm. That is again an FR4 material. Then coming to that one, design steps 1, 0, 2, 3, step by step, gradually how we have designed this one. Then finally the fabricated prototype of this antenna is shown in figure 3. That is a step form of this design. Then ultimately a step as well as that SIW kind of structure we have created on the then coming to that measured and simulated performance comparison. Then in terms of resonances, in terms of S parameters, then finally we can think about more or less all the values are matching, but there are slightly deviations in all the cases. That might be because of human errors at the time of fabrications, or maybe at the time of doing the experiment, or creating the setup for measurement purpose. A maximum peak gain of around 7.4 dBi is observed here in case of that one. That is this one, that 4.6 that one 5.76 this one 5.76 gigahertz frequency. Then actual ratio variations that we can think, then these three frequencies are linearly polarized, circularly polarized, and remaining three will come into that one, that is linearly polarized. Okay, then coming to that one voltage, that is rectifier part, that for that one voltage doubler configuration is used here. That is basically is shown here, that are two diode configurations are used here. Then one capacitor and resistance will be used, and this is the schematic for that one. And for that proposed voltage doubler circuit, and then ultimately how many stages will be used, that is decided by the amount of rectification as well as the amount of that one available power at the input sides. It can be that it is not possible to use the 100 number of stages or 20 number of stages, because ultimately the power will be lost within the rectifier circuit itself. Then ultimately this is coming to that one design configuration of that proposed rectifier, that ultimately it is having three different branches. Then this is designed for two frequencies, and this is designed for two frequencies, and this is designed for two frequencies, and finally output of this one is combined in the form of this, and finally this end is the final DC point, and this point is connected to that one, that is the, and then this point is connected towards that one, that is that antenna sides, and finally this point we can use for measuring the DC voltage. This is the ADS is equivalent circuit of this one RLC components of this particular rectifier topology is what we have used here, that is sections rectifier. Then how the performance is changing with respect to input power level that we can see here at the three different frequencies. Then simulated and measured comparison of output DC voltages in that one 4.75 gigahertz, 5.42 gigahertz, 5.76. Then in next two, that is 6.4 gigahertz variation, 6.9 gigahertz variation, and 7.61 gigahertz variation. First three frequencies measured simulated performance here, and remaining three frequencies measured simulated performance comparison here. Now coming to that one, RF to DC power DC conversion efficiency, then ultimately that again three points comparison in first window and second 3-point comparison in last window, that finally we can see here that 80.23% of conversion efficiency is achieved at a 5.76 gigahertz frequency at an input power level of 15 dBm. Now like as per other like hectic schedules are going on, that I've already discussed with the Professor Purnima. I could not include much in the designing examples, but I'll give you the reference of that one, that is ultimately designed for 2.45 gigahertz Wi-Fi band operated circularly polarized antenna for RF energy harvesting, which is recently published, recently accepted in some journal. Then another designs circularly polarized DR antenna for 5G and Wi-Fi band RF energy harvesting application. These two designs, I'm extremely sorry for not discussing these two designs because of constraints, time constraints, because like recently we have got an approval for creating the IEEE Silchar subsections, and day night we are working for making it stabilized. For like different activities are being managed by different teams, but ultimately I need to have a close monitoring on all these things. That's why, because of shortage of time, I could not include several recently published work in that one. Now coming to that advantages and disadvantages, that utilizing freely available energy increases the battery life, save the maintenance cost, and input power at the rectangular terminal is controlled and as well as predictable. Power can be harvested over a distance and suitable to operate in the indoor environment efficiently, because in indoor environment the amount of Wi-Fi power will be higher as compared to the GSM power available in the free space. That's why we can use that one indoor environment for utilizing the ambient Wi-Fi energy available in our home for designing, for creating that, for converting that power into the DC one. Then coming to the drawback part, that free space path loss is high. Then ultimately we need to take care of that one, because the low power density is another issues related to RF energy harvesting system. Then ultimately high efficiency conversion is not possible till now because of several constraints in the rectifier topologies. It may require a dedicated source as an ambient energy. Then if we are having a dedicated source, then it is work. Ultimately, if we are having an arbitrary source aligned at some other location, then it will be hard for getting the getting the desired amount of harvested energy, harvested DC energy. Now coming to that one, some like companies which are working in that particular area, global antenna market classifications, like then key players in the global antenna systems. Then these are the things, these are the different companies working in different countries, especially for designing the different RF energy harvesting module. Like this entire things what I have presented here, that the mixture of all these publications, specifically that I missed to include this one, that is this Journal of Electromagnetic Waves and Applications, which is recently accepted on 18th August. And another one is this one, which like this one, IG technical review, and rest of the things I have discussed in the form like 2 review articles I have covered in the first part of the theoretical analysis of different aspects of designing of the antenna systems, and then I have discussed the different configuration of antenna systems and different configurations for rectifiers, then impedance matching networks, and then power combining networks. Then if you require further details of these things, then you may refer these articles which are available or which will be available shortly in the public domain. Now coming to that one, that this is the last reference, that this book, which has already been published by CRC Taylor and Francis.
Hello, sir. Sir, you are not audible, sir. Sir, Taimur, sir.
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
I have not muted myself. I don't know how it has happened.
Oh, no problem, sir.
Okay, no problem. Then ultimately, these are our research collaborators in India as well as abroad. Then coming to that last one, that is with this I conclude myself. Now I can go for some queries which should be there in the audience mind.
Yes, sir. Some participants have given some queries in the chat box, sir. They're asking, what is the interpretation for negative gain? Is it useful?
Just wait. I can make it full screen. Is the screen visible? I'm not able to see
Yes,
the
sir.
participant.
Your screen
Okay.
is visible, sir.
No, how I will go back to the full screen where participants will be there? I'm not seeing that one.
Okay. No, sir. Participants, video is off for participants.
No, participants are there, but ultimately I'm not. Anyway, one by one, you can dictate the query of the participant. I'll try to
Yes, sir.
give the.
What is the interpretation for negative gain? Is it useful?
What is the
Interpretation for negative gain.
Okay. Negative gain, ultimately negative gain is not useful for that one, specifically for that antenna part. Ultimately, what we like in general, specifically when we are designing an antenna part, there is no meaning of negative gain as far as because some applications may also be there where intentionally we need to create the negative gain for a specific frequency, like if you're taking some other applications domain. But as far as an antenna part, there is no meaning of that negative gain. It should have some positive values.
Sir, can I just ask a question? This was my question regarding the negative gain, but still, even if we say that it is not important, then why is it reported in literature that people report their results that they've designed this particular antenna and it is of negative gain?
Yes, ultimately in that context, if we take that reference, suppose because ultimately you're designing a particular antenna which is going to resonance at a 2.45 gigahertz. Okay, but in the entire literature, in the entire simulation part, you never talk about at a specific frequency. You always talk about the complete range of frequency starting from 1.5 gigahertz to 3 gigahertz. In between that one, then some points will have some positive values of gain, some points will have some negative values of gain. That is the things ultimately. But as far as like coming to your question, that why ultimately that negative, in what context it should be important. Suppose gain is negative values, then ultimately power, that power which is to be harvested is also very less. Then the ultimately what will have effect on the performance of that antenna output side, that ultimately the power conversion efficiency will be very small. Antenna will not be able to produce the essential amount of power which is essentially required for that rectifier for rectification purpose if it is having the negative gain.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question?
One more question from the participants here. How to convert a schematic layout model in ADS?
In
ADS.
Like for that one, ultimately the geometry can be easily calculated. There are several steps for designing that for creating the layout in ADS. Then without that ADS, how I can dictate the things or steps for designing the schematic in ADS. But there are some standard steps. One by one we need to follow that one, and we need to insert each component and interconnect those in components, and finally we observe the performance. We connect the source as well as we connect the some output as a measuring device in the form of when we are going to observe in display form, or we can get the some numerical values of that one. Because it could be better if this type of questions may be very useful at the time of some hands-on training type of thing, but it is like nothing I have included in that one simulation part, deep simulation part of ADS and HFSS of CST. That's why step-by-step process will be hard to tell you at this moment that what we need to do first in that one ADS. You just click this one and select the substrate, and finally you pick up that particular component and then insert the value, then finally that continuous steps. And
So they are asking to suggest any book or web page explaining CPW feed, like other feed mechanisms are generally explained everywhere.
CPW feed?
CPW feed, like other feed mechanisms, are explained.
Yes, microstrip feed is there, which is very much popular in designing of that antenna. Microstrip feed as well as that one coplanar waveguide feed. These are most popular. But nowadays, like people are working on some different configurations of feeding structures specifically for designing the antenna part. We are also in that way, but without that one published one, I cannot give the answer in that context. What other configurations we have recently designed, and it is under considerations in some journals. But ultimately, it is there that one scope of research is there in designing the feeding structure for antenna, because that is nowadays people are also working in that directions. Apart from selecting the novel shape of radiator and several other configurations of that one, people are also working in that area of taking as a challenge in feeding structure optimization for antenna. Some queries I am seeing in that chat box also is the antenna fabrication facility. Yes, it is there. You can contact me, no problem.
In NIT Silchar.
Yes,
they are
you can
asking
contact.
whether it is available now.
Yes, it is available. You can contact me, no problem. And apart from this lecture, if you wish to have a collaboration, short of collaboration in any way, then you are most welcome. Any participant, no problem. You can contact me through mail, through WhatsApp, or through other social media platform. I'll give you sufficient support in the form of material, in the form of some other way. Okay.
Sir, which one is the best impedance matching technique?
Ultimately, we cannot say which one is the best. Ultimately, it depends several factors, like what amount, what things we are getting from the antenna sides, and what things we are going to deliver after the rectifier. Ultimately, for a specific configuration for a specific rectangle operating at a certain frequency, then at the particular frequency we can think about which one is giving the best performance of impedance matching. But ultimately, popularly, that L sections and pi sections are very much popular. for designing that impedance matching kind of things. But we cannot say which one that pi shape is best suitable and L shape is not best suitable. That answer will not be correct if we say like this, but ultimately it depends on several other factors of that rectangle.
Sir, one more question. They're asking to tell some diodes used in Vectana.
Okay.
Some diodes used in Rectana.
Okay, especially Schottky diodes. Now several like device, we are as a antenna engineer or the rectangle engineer, we are not doing anything on the device level. Then ultimately several series, H series or SM series, SM series are available in the market, and different configuration day by day are coming depending upon our requirement. We choose the best one available in that market, and finally we optimize the remaining parameters for that particular diode. Okay, but all are maximum Schottky diode, but nowadays people are also trying to replace that one some other configuration in terms of CMOS and BJT also, but several other constraints come into the picture when we enter into the CMOS BJT or GFET kind of configurations.
Sir, one more question, sir.
Yeah.
In case of poor performing antenna, like negative gain, how can we improve the RF energy harvesting in terms of its circuit? Sir, once again,
Can you repeat it?
Poor performing
Yes.
antennas. Yes, sir.
Or
In case of poor performing antennas, antennas, like negative gain. Like negative gain, they're asking if they have negative gain in the antennas.
No. Can that one? Is it possible to see that comment here in the chat box?
Yes, sir. It is in chat box. You just press escape key, sir. You just press escape key.
Okay.
So you'll get your screen, sir.
No. That is screen I am getting, but it is very small. I am not able to make it full screen. That is the main problem. No, that's why.
It is in chat
that's
box.
why
Sir. It is in chat box.
it is a
Okay.
chat
Sir,
box
Jagdish
window.
Kumar, sir, you can ask. You can mute yourself and you can unmute yourself and ask the question, sir.
Yes, it may be. Yes, please.
Jagdish Kumar, sir. Okay, sir. So any more participants? If you have any queries, you can unmute yourself and ask the questions.
Ma'am, is this the question that in case of poor performing antennas like negative gain, how can we improve the RF energy harvesting in terms of its circuits? No.
Yes, sir.
Antenna gain is essentially required. We need to retain a minimum amount of gain before designing the components of other circuitry. First, we need to design the antenna with certain amount of high gain values. Without like ignoring the gain part, there is no use of that antenna. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other query in the chat? I think this was the last query which I am seeing. After that something is written, but I am not able to see because of that short window. Shashi Kumar has written something, but
Thank you, sir. They have written thank you.
Oh, it is not because this platform is not user friendly for me. First time I use this one. Otherwise, in our institute, we are using that WebEx is institute purchased WebEx
Yes,
and
sir.
Google Meet.
Yes, sir.
That's why it might be because of that one. Anyway, like someone has written any book or web page explaining CPW feed like other feed mechanism are generally explained everywhere. No. Ultimately, if you need to go to the traditional microwave millimeter wave circuit, then I'll recommend one book, that Printed Circuits by Bal, Bharti and Kaul. That is long back 1980s around it was published. That is Shiban Kaul and Bal, that Indrajit Bell and Bharti, Professor Bharti. Then traditional theory related to all feeding mechanisms you can find out in that work. Okay, and if some recent books are required, then you can drop a mail to me. I'll give you the sufficient. If it is available to me, I'll share it with you. No problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Again, is a Rectana fabrication facility is available? Yes. How to convert schematic to layout? Okay. Then, okay. I think all other queries have already been. Yes. In my chat box, it is over. If still some queries left, then you can unmute that corresponding already candidate, and he or she may ask directly. If it is over, then no problem at all.
Participants, if you have any queries, you can ask them. Okay, sir. So thank you very much, sir, for having a wonderful lecture like this. And you have almost answered all our queries, sir, and you have motivated us towards this RF energy harvesting concepts. Thank you, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation and coming here. Giving a lecture of wonderful lecture like this. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
sir.
madam. Thank you, madam, once again for giving me an opportunity for interacting in 2 different sessions. Okay, thank you, and looking forward for
Sure.
having such interaction in future also. Right, ma'am. Bye. Thank
Sure,
you.
sir. Thank
Can
you,
I
sir.
leave
Thank you.
now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Participants, thank you all. Thank you all for listening this today's sessions. And tomorrow we will meet on at 10 o'clock. Okay. Thank you all.